But can you tell us what is your title in the Greater Orlando Asian American Bar Association? That's a lot.
Great. Yes, yes. It's quite the mouthful. So I'm an upcoming and incoming board of director with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. We call it AACC for short.
Okay, perfect. And then in the Bar Association, is that separate?
That's a separate thing entirely. So let me just give you a big picture perspective of the differences between those groups.
Mhm.
So the Bar Association is now get ready for this. This is going to be another mouthful. The Greater Orlando Asian American Bar Association, GAWABA for short. You can call it the Asian Bar Association. Everyone knows what that is. It's the only one in Central Florida. I am the immediate past president for GAWABA, and I've stayed on the board through the pendency of the last year. Now, the current president, her name is Kathleen Winter, who also happens to be my wife. But the purpose of that organization is to promote the interests of lawyers in the community. Now, in recent years, we've expanded the purpose and scope of the promotion to really help support other community AAPI associations in town, including the Asian American Chamber of Commerce. So we do collaborate inevitably with a lot of the other organizations, including AACC, as I mentioned, including other professional groups as well. So that's what GAWABA does. The AACC, on the other hand, is really a broader purposed entity that's meant to cater to the interest of all AAPI individuals and particularly business members and small businesses to help foster a greater economic impact that the AAPI community has in shaping the business space in Central Florida.
Sure. Okay. And can you talk to me a little bit about how you got to be involved in both of these organizations?
Sure. Briefly, so I moved to Central Florida from South Florida in 2018, and I was just looking for some professional associations to join, and GAWABA was one of the first things that I found and was suggested and encouraged to join. So I started as a member, worked my way up through the board, and eventually was nominated as president. And through that role, I met just a wide array of great community leaders in all these different associations around town. And through that, after the end of my term, because I was rotating off of the functional board for all intents and purposes, I was asked to join the Asian Chamber of Commerce as a board of director. I've been involved with the chamber for some time, and the chamber itself has a really rich history, and I just wanted to add and contribute to that group as well.
Yeah. And I'm assuming since you're part of the Bar Association, you practice law in some way.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what law do you practice?
I am a litigator. So what that means is I handle and resolve dispute resolution issues and litigation and lawsuits. So anything involving a lawsuit that's not personal injury or anything like that. That's what I do. I handle commercial disputes, so issues, disputes between parties concerning matters of contract, infighting inside corporations, that kind of thing. I also do real estate-based litigation, representing landlords, property managers, owners, developers, that sort of thing. So that's the nuts and bolts of my practice.
Sure. And then you have your own firm. What's it called?
No, I don't own my own firm, but I work at an AM Law 100 law firm, Ackerman LLP in downtown Orlando. We have, I think, 24 offices across the country.
Yeah.
We have quite the history and deep roots in Orlando, with this office in particular being the founding office for the law firm. So we've been here for, I think, over 100 years at this point.
Wow, that's incredible. And you had said like you kind of came from South Florida, kind of shot up to the presidency. So what has that kind of shown you about Central Florida and specifically the AAPI community within Central Florida, which is super diverse?
That's such a great question, and I have this added perspective of not being from Central Florida. And I will say this, the AAPI community here is unlike any other in respectfully in Florida. We have such visibility and you can see it. You drive down to Colonial Mills, it's there. You see Asian businesses, Asian Asian people coming through, shopping. I mean, it's such a visible part of the Central Florida community. And there's not really too many other places like it. I think per capita, we have the largest concentration of Asian businesses alone in the state of Florida. So it's really great to be part of that conversation. And that's one distinction that I think we have that other places don't.
Yeah. And you had mentioned you were collaborating with other community leaders. So obviously, you help with the business side, the law side, all of that. But what other community leaders do you collaborate with?
There's a few. So we have many different groups within Orlando. I'm going to miss a few, but there's NAP, which is the National Asian Pacific or National Association of Asian American Professionals. It's a nationwide organization, but we have chapters throughout the country. And so I'm involved in the Orlando chapter as a member. It's still something that's getting up to speed in terms of attracting a diverse membership base, and it's building a lot of momentum. So it's really cool to be a part of that group. I'm also involved with some planning events for the Orange County Asian Committee. And I do want to also give a shout out to the to ACT, which is the Asian American Pacific Islanders Coming Together Coalition. So another mouthful, but ACT for short is basically a group that is intended to promote the not just the interests of the AAPI community, but more specifically in a way to encourage AAPI folks to get registered to vote and actually vote. So that's a new coalition that's been formed, and also something that's pretty neat to be a part of.
Yeah. Does that does not happen to coincide with Make Us Visible in any way, or the ACT one?
It does in some way, and we have worked with that group too, but this is more of a grassroots effort specific to Central Florida.
Gotcha. Okay. I just asked because I had just interviewed Mimi Chan, and we were talking about Make Us Visible and the AAPI legislation in Florida, but she was like, oh, it's a nationwide coalition. So
yes, Mimi Chan is a great example of someone who's really spearheaded a grassroots movement and brought it to a national conversation, just statewide conversation. I mean, I think Florida is one of 5 states that has now passed legislation regarding K through 12 Asian American education, which I think is awesome. It's something everyone in the community has supported her on, but she really took ownership of that. So I think we're all very fortunate.
Yeah, which is incredible. Yeah, for sure. Especially in this state when, so many things go on, so many bills aren't passed, and, it's hard to know which ones will be and which ones won't. So yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah. So you had talked about, obviously very connected to the community. So how can people get involved in these organizations if they're new to the community, or if they've been embedded in the community and are just new to getting involved in things like this?
So I'll encourage people to first get involved with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce, not just because I am fairly involved with that relative to my other associations, but because it's such a large umbrella organization that you can meet a lot of other people and figure out what other groups might interest you, because we do a lot of collaboration with these other groups. We spread the same message, attend a lot of the same functions. So it's a good launching pad, if you will. We have a website. You can just look up Asian American Chamber of Commerce, Central Florida, and you'll see a list of all of our upcoming events. In fact, this month we have it's an AAPI Heritage Month celebration. It's also it's going to be a corporate sponsors luncheon as well. We're installing the new board, including myself, and that's going to be at Yummy House Seafood in Orlando. It's going to be a 10-course lunch, so you might end up falling asleep afterwards, of course. But that's May 25th from 11:30 through 1:30 p.m. We have a lot of great guests. There's going to be music, good food, good company, and you'll see the flyer on the website. So if you are new to the group and you want to figure out ways to get more involved, I would certainly suggest attending that function as kind of the starting point. In terms of GAWABA, right? That group is actually really more so for attorneys, just in terms of who the membership base consists of. So there's judges, there's law students, there's paralegals, and of course attorneys. But as of now, the current bylaws don't allow non-attorneys or non-legal professionals to join that group.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. If that's the central focus point of the group, why? Yeah. Awesome. And then for, you said they could go to the website for people who want to be involved. For AAPI businesses, obviously, shopping at AAPI businesses is important. Are there any other ways that people in Central Florida can support the AAPI community?
That's a great question. I mean, I think support can look and feel in a lot of different ways, and I think there's a lot of ways to just show that you care about the community and want to improve it. And I think one way would be joining these types of associations, joining the Chamber of Commerce, talking to folks in these other associations, seeing what their needs might be and how they might even align with yours, and also just educating yourself on a lot of the topics that do affect our community, and taking more civic leadership roles in fostering a community that we all want to see. And I'll just harken back to the recent legislation that Mimi Chan helped pass. I mean, that was not done. She spearheaded it, to be sure, but she had a great coalition behind her, and a lot of people who supported her. And not all of them are exclusively from the AAPI community, and that's fine too. We have lots of allies, and I think allyship is really a great way to build an organic coalition.
That makes sense, yeah, because you're only as good as whoever's behind you, and so it takes a lot of people to make it happen.
Yeah, so really the suggestion, I guess, in a nutshell would be join things that you're interested in, take initiative and work with people you like spending time with, and just let things kind of develop organically. It'll work out.
Awesome. Well, those were all the pre-written questions I had. It was just kind of a basic overview of what the organizations were. So do you have anything else you want to add that I maybe missed?
No, I mean, I would just, I appreciate the opportunity for even speaking with you. I would also just suggest that either yourself or anyone else just continue meeting and talking to other leaders or supporters within the AAPI community. And for anyone who's listening, who does want to make that jump and take that initiative, I'm just going to, again, promote that May 25th event. It's going to be a wonderful time to meet all these leaders from various different factions. In fact, I think we have Mayor Demings, who's supposed to be coming out to event, and I'll just give a shout out to him as well. He's been very supportive of not just AACC, but all of the AAPI communities and networking groups around town. So come out, join that event, and just stay tuned for other news and ways to get involved.
Awesome. Well, I love that. And I assume you guys have also social media pages where people can stay involved.
Yes, we have at least Facebook. I think there's Twitter as well, but I will say the website's probably the easiest way to disseminate information and to stay current with trends and what's happening.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll make sure to link that and the specific event in the article so that people know, where to go, how to RSVP, all of that. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Samantha. I really appreciate it.